Hello and welcome back to my favorite podcast family. And I have other people that are on that have podcasts. So you're special. And the reason why you're special is because you know what, why do we do podcasts? We do podcasts to help kind of I call rise tide, bring information and those gems of what people want to learn, and particularly you want to learn because you keep sending me messages. You appreciate the guests, you forward the shows, and we so appreciate that. So you're my favorite, probably always will be my favorite. You're allowed to have a favorite podcast family, and you're it. So thank you very much. If you're viewing in or you're listening, I always say that if you're a listener, just pick that one show that you want to watch and take the time to watch it, because there's something really cool when you're watching people talk. And you've probably never seen my hands go up in the air or all the things that just really drives the information in a different way. Like, it really locks in when I think you not only hear people's enthusiasm, so watch people's enthusiasm and watch them share their knowledge. So make sure that you do that. But let me tell you, I always tell you what you are for this show. And I'm going to say that you are the most collaborative podcast audience. And collaboration is something that we're hearing a lot about. People are collaborating. If you're in the streetwear fashion world, you hear about collabs all the time, and things are dropping and we're collaborating, and this company is doing something with this company. And we actually have people that collaborate with us and we do projects together. But the whole thing around collaboration has really gotten into revenue streams. Like, when you think about collaborating, like, hey, it used to be referral, or, oh my gosh, you got to go to this movie. And I'm telling you, I should make a lot of money off the Dylan movie, because not only did I go multiple times, but I told everybody to go. And there's this idea about sharing good things and sharing good news. And we've done it all the time, and we use the word referral. But in this whole new world of entrepreneurship and people rising tide and people collaborating together, it's kind of like, well, let's take just that referral piece and let's move it to the next level. And you're hearing a lot of terms around town if you're in the world of entrepreneurship, or, hey, I really need to add revenue stream onto what I'm already doing, and I don't want to do anything else. I love what I do. And you hear things about referral fees and JVs and collaborations and money going back and forth to the point where it's actually part of people's revenue streams. So look, I'm not the expert. I like to play in that world, but I'm not the expert. And so we're going to bring someone who's mission accepted their business all around that. And you are listening to, in a few moments here, Mr. Chuck Anderson. And his whole work is based around really serving others in a pretty cool way that you may never have heard of before. I mean, let's get into it, but I'm not the person to talk about that. Chuck, welcome to Mission Accepted Media. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing what you do best.
Oh, thank you, Deb. Amazing introduction, by the way. My podcast might change because of that.
Oh, good. They're very good.
There
Let's
you
get
go.
some,
I learned
but
something
we
already.
are, we talk about mission accepted. It's very double O, we know, and too, right?
Mhm.
People are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start a business. And it's almost like when you've had 6 kids and someone's like, I want to get pregnant. You're like, right on. I'm not going to be the one to tell you the rest of it, but we know that it's a journey. And I always call it rice and peas and steak and lobster and all the things. But there's things that happen in your business that become worth it. It's about taking the mission, but also I think part of the journey, what we share about here, is about why to stay on the mission, and how that works. So look, I would love for you to introduce yourself, maybe give us a background on when you took your mission, how you decided to become an entrepreneur, what that looks like. And I've been sitting here talking about something that people may never have heard of before, and that is financially being remunerated around sharing other people's business and not your own.
Absolutely. And that's actually where we specialize in, but that's not where I started. I started my first business, I want to say around 1995. And why did I do it? Because I hated my job. I hated my job. I was working in a corporate atmosphere that just didn't, for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like I was in the right place at the right time. I was always trying to catch up, to other people, or it just never felt at home and it never felt right. And so, out of the blue, I decided I'm not doing this anymore. And of course, I was 25 and I didn't have kids yet, so that's a very easy decision to make when you're single. And I went into the telecom business selling advertising. I had no selling experience whatsoever, and so very much learning as I went. Learned how to finance myself, raise capital because telecom is not a cheap and easy business to run. And then with advertising, how to sell advertising, where you're basically selling air. And so there's nothing tangible there. And so it was a great place to start. One of the things that I really learned in all of that was I was very much a solopreneur, although I
Mhm.
don't think we really called it ourselves solopreneurs back then, but I very much was one. I had the attitude of that. And, one thing leads to another. I learn that succeeding in business is a team sport. You really have to play with others. You have to collaborate with others. It's so much easier when you just partner with others. And so it was in the late 90s, I was introduced to affiliate marketing, which is all about collaboration. It's all about promoting other people's stuff, having them promote you. And wow, a business really can take off when we allow others to play with us, and together we achieve more much faster. But yeah, those first few years, so tough because I was doing absolutely everything, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, sometimes more. Sometimes I slept under my desk, right? Right? Because there was just no
Yeah.
money, no more hours in the day. So that's my origin story. It's much better today. So please don't tune out.
Yeah, yeah, don't you know? Yeah. But I think it's important. And there's something really that you can't purchase around those experiences. I mean, that's why I tell people, when people go get advice from people, I'm like, don't go, I always say, don't go to your bank manager and ask about your marriage. And what I mean by that is not everybody can tell you everything. And I think there's gold in early days. And we talk about early days because things move so fast that someone who's been an entrepreneur for 10 years definitely had different starts than someone now, and someone like myself and yourself who had, maybe even further back. There is, and to this day, I mean, I tell people the hard is just different, right? Pick your hard,
Mhm.
right? And so you slept under your desk. There was a lot of solopreneur. I'm like, we had to start a women's networking group in my basement Sunday at 2, bring your kids, because there just wasn't a women's, there was nothing formal for women to go and talk about business. And people like, I can't even imagine that. And well, it wasn't that long ago, but there was a lot of you know, forging, and people could say, oh, the mistakes, the this, the that. It was just forging. It was just, no one was there to mentor. I don't know about you, but there wasn't a plethora of coaches. We didn't have the digital world, and sometimes you just didn't know, or you didn't even know the book to go to. So there's something to be said for that. I do think it builds resilience in a way that's very, very helpful, that makes it very real. But why don't you tell us about going from that world to the world that you have now, and you talk about collaboration, and how it can be someone's business? I mean, isn't this interesting that this is your work now, is supporting people to put things together? So tell us a little bit more about that, because I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me at the perfect time. The
Mm.
telecom business was not my friend. It was very expensive, and it almost took me out. And I was looking for a way out. Honestly, it was not the big success that I dreamed it was going to be when I first started it. And a very I would say serendipitous. A friend of mine invited me over to dinner at his place, and after dinner we went to his office. We were chatting, and I noticed on his desk there was a check on his desk for just over $10,000 US. And of course, you see a check sitting there for that amount of money. It's like, what's that?
On that.
And he's like, well, let me show you. And he showed me this very ugly website. And of course, in 1999, all websites were ugly.
Yeah.
Showed me this very ugly website where he had a few links promoting a service in the United States, and they were paying him $2 for every sign up that he could get. And people were coming to his website, clicking the link, signing up, and he earned this commission check every single month. And so that was my first introduction to affiliate marketing. And before long, I was getting my own $10,000 a month checks by promoting others as an affiliate. So earning commissions as an affiliate. People were asking us, how do you do it? How do we do this? And so we started teaching classes and so showing other people how to build ugly websites with links on them. And before long, I was recruited by a seminar company that was doing the same thing. They were teaching people how to start online businesses. I mean, this was definitely the thing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so that's where I got to learn the other side of affiliate marketing. We did 20 million at our peak, and 40% of that 20 million was from affiliates promoting us. If we added up all of our marketing channels, it was by far our largest and most profitable marketing channel. The other 60% was a mix of everything else. So, I always say I was very, very lucky to learn both sides of this industry, both earning money as an affiliate and learning how to recruit, manage, and train affiliates to promote me and others and our clients. And I've been doing that ever since.
Wow. That's a very interesting story. And I'm sure as you were talking, people were visually imagining a $10,000. And we say US because right now we're having this conversation in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
So, right. So it's, but still $10,000 a month sitting on someone's desk. I love serendipitous stories like that. I love where, I always say, when you hear the saying, like, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Well, also when the teacher's ready, the student appears. Like when that information that needs to come into your life, if it feels different. I went into a muffin shop. I was pregnant with my daughter who, is 30 now. And I was not able to go to a university class that I wanted to because it was 4 years and I was pregnant and I was at home and I wanted a muffin. And I was sugar-free, dairy-free, and wheat-free. And we're talking 30 years ago. There was one store in Vancouver. It was a 45-minute drive. And we went. And as we left, I saw a pink neon flyer and it caught my attention. It caught my attention, kind of like how that check caught yours. And there was something, I don't know, vibrational or something that was kind of calling my name. And that flyer changed my life. It changed the complete trajectory of my life. It's kind of same as, I love that. I love to highlight that part of your story because I think it's important for watching those things that you see that you wouldn't normally see, or when you see it, you feel something. So I love that part of your story. But okay, so we're not 1995. We're not a few years after that. Where are you at with it now? People retrospect go, wow, okay, so you were at the beginning and it started to really, make its way. But where is it at with you now? How does that work in your business now?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved a lot. And I can tell you that today it's easier than it ever has been. And we don't hear people talking about affiliate marketing quite as much as they used to, or at least that's my world anyways.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about AI right now. We hear a lot about, digital currencies and crypto and, new technologies. And there's a lot of stuff that nobody's talking about yet that's coming that will definitely monopolize the conversations. But affiliate marketing, it's one of the things that, like I said, it predates the internet, first of all.
Right.
Credit card companies used it way before the internet. And so there's that. That's another story for another day. But it's easier than ever before to start an affiliate program, with the tracking and the links and the marketing materials that you need to support affiliates. And the most important part, it's easier today to find affiliates, to find people who will promote you in exchange for a commission or a referral fee or a bonus or whatever it is, just because of the way we communicate, because of AI, because of social media, because of post-pandemic things that have happened, such as virtual networking events. On any given day, if I'm looking for an affiliate or someone to partner with or someone to cross promote with, on any given day, I can choose from multiple virtual events that I can go and network with other business owners and find ways to collaborate, cross promote each other, send offers out to each other's email lists, and on and on and on. There's so many different ways to structure it. Point is it's easier than ever, and it's the only marketing strategy where you pay after you've already received the money, right?
So
Because you're paying.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's stop there for a minute because I'm
yeah,
like, I can hear. So I love to give examples.
yeah.
So we've got people that are in business, looking to be business, do business. I mean, our audience is very much like me and you.
Hmm.
And so they're like, okay, I'm gonna get my head around this affiliate thing.
Yeah.
People have asked me to send their link out for a summit, or people have said, so let's walk someone through an example. Do you mind doing that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's give it some tactile. So where do you find most people are getting affiliates from? Is it coaches, program? Like give us an example. Let's run it through.
Yeah, and there's I mean, first of all, affiliates can work for any kind of business, whether you're software or e-commerce. I tend to work with a lot of coaches and experts and consultants because they're selling services and they need that constant flow of new clients, new people to book consultation calls with to turn them into clients. And so here's an example of that. So let's say a coach goes, okay, well, I'm not talking to enough people. I'm not selling enough clients. What
Okay.
should I do? Well, but I so I've been promoting myself through webinars, but not enough people have been registering and attending my webinars. So
Right.
we say, okay, great. Why don't we attach an affiliate program to your next webinar? And let's go and find other business owners that serve the same or similar audience that you do. And let's ask them if they will help get the word out about your webinar. We're going to give them a special link so that we'll know everyone they sent to that webinar. And then if anyone they send to the webinar becomes your client, you're going to pay them a commission. Might be 10, 20% or whatever it is. Could be 50%. All of that. But point is, you're going to pay them some sort of a referral fee or commission for the people they sent to you. And by the way, that's why that's the model that we really work, especially with service providers, is we believe everyone should have a virtual event such as a webinar or a masterclass or something like that. And then how do you fill it? You get affiliates, you get people with newsletters and podcasts and Facebook groups and YouTube channels and reach of any kind, really, to agree to promote you. That fills your event. Now you have an audience, you sell your coaching services, you pay them a commission. And so that model works so incredibly well that we don't work with a whole lot of other businesses, although you can do the same thing with software and apps and e-commerce and there's
Mhm.
really great examples for that too. But that does that help? That's really
Yeah,
like
no, I just want to give
yeah.
people a visual because affiliate, it can people know it,
Hmm.
but if they do know it, it's probably like, oh, maybe it's to a program, or maybe it's to, or sometimes people haven't heard of it. They've heard of, so I say the word JV to people and they're like, what's a JV? Right? It's a joint venture. And it's similar in nature to what you're talking about. Now, what about for our product-based companies out there? Like, they sell this, or like my son's in clothing, or can people that have products have affiliate as well?
Yes, absolutely. And you may even use the same model that I just described. You still might want to use webinars and events. It really depends on the price point and uh, I would say where people are at in terms of being familiar with your product. For
Mhm.
example, if I'm selling toasters, I probably don't need to do a webinar about that. I could probably just send links to my toasters and people would buy a toaster.
Yeah.
But if I'm selling some other product that nobody's ever heard of before, and we actually just came across one, it's a physical product that is caters to anyone who's on gluten-free diet.
Mhm.
So their audience is like people with celiac and like anyone else who just can't eat gluten. And
Mhm.
they have discovered a product that literally doesn't exist anywhere. But if we just put it on a store shelf or we just put it on a website, you're gonna, it looks like any other product of its category that
Right.
does have gluten. You're not going to be side by side. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. It requires a little bit of education. So any product that might require a little bit of demonstration or education should probably still use the webinar model. So even if it's a physical product, and but absolutely, we see it. Cosmetics is a great example. Health supplements, pharmaceuticals, another one where they send affiliates will send traffic direct to the storefront, and then they pay commissions on products that are sold from there. But it really, which direction you go really depends on how familiar people are with your product and what it does. If it's a commodity, then sure, go direct to the product. If it's something that requires some demonstration and education, then I would go to a webinar as well. So,
Right. Okay, very good. Well, let's talk a little bit more about you.
no.
Let's talk about you. So, thank you. I think that is helpful for people, particularly when they're looking for a little bit of extra something, but don't want to change what they're doing, right? I mean, entrepreneurship is a full-time gig. So sometimes if the revenue is not coming in the way you want, or you're frustrated in your marketing, or you feel like you are one of many, and what is the differentiator? Being able to have a webinar where you talk about that is all good. Now, you being in business, you've been in business for a while, you've slept under your desk. You're not sleeping under your desk today. So obviously things have changed. What's something about, let's just talk to our entrepreneurs out there that have these magical moments that keep us going. I call them hope buckets, where you're like, you don't know it's giving you hope, but it was such a cool experience. You're like, that's what this world's all about. Outside of having your, maybe some time freedom and all those things that we all hope to get one day in your business. Has there been anything kind of like surprising that has surprised you, just being an entrepreneur, or a time where your back was against the wall and you were like, oh my gosh, this is a, what people would say, a do or die moment? Can you share some of that stuff with us?
Yeah, and it happened right before that part of my story where I was first introduced to affiliate marketing. It was the tail end of me being in that telecom business and things were not going well. And I was really considering quitting and looking for a job. In fact, there was probably several times throughout the week that I was looking for job. Like just, you kind of test the waters a little bit. Like, what
Yeah.
would it be like if I just went back, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't want to. And so I ended up at a networking event, and there weren't that many networking events here locally.
Mhm.
But there was some good ones, and I ended up winning the door prize
Mm.
at that event, and it was for a Tony Robbins affiliate that was here, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. And so Tony Robbins was not there. But I won a ticket to this workshop that that was being held by someone that had, was
Hmm.
one of Tony Robbins' affiliates, and they were doing local workshops. So I went to this workshop because I won it as a door prize. I'm like, cool, I'll go.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to learn there, but it was the start of a self-discovery, self-improvement journey that still continues today. I'm super passionate about it. In fact, I always say on my podcast that your business does not grow beyond the extent that you do, because I wasn't prepared in this journey for how much of a personal growth exercise it was going to be. I thought, you do business, you sell stuff, you make money, you make profit, the end of story, and you scale and you become a gazillionaire. But I really had some stuff to overcome, as it turns out,
Yeah.
and become and grow. And that was really the catalyst that led me one thing after another to different books and different workshops. I really got a taste of it, and it sent me down this path. I started listening to cassette tapes, right? There was cassette tapes in the car,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
CDs. Now it's all on Spotify and everything, but and Audible. But back then, cassettes. And everywhere I drove and everywhere I went, I was listening. I was attending more of these events. I was looking for anything that was happening here locally.
Mhm.
even traveled to a few different events at the time. And it just sent me down this journey that I didn't realize that I would be on or that I needed to be on. Because quite frankly, Deb, if I hadn't done that, if that unexpected door prize hadn't happened, I don't know. I mean, it may have found me in another way because, your destiny is your
Yeah.
destiny. But the it really was the catalyst that kind of started me off on realizing, hey, it's not just growing the business, but it's growing me. Who do I need to become such that I have a business that is successful?
Well, touche. And we hear it in a lot of YouTube shorts now. And I, like you, ironically, we both had that Tony Robbins thing. I was at home, I was pregnant. Remember, I told you I found the flyer. And so I was, I ended up taking a massage class. I was on my way to university to get a degree in women's studies and religious studies and go create economic platforms in third world countries. But instead, I wanted a muffin. And I ended up in this incredible massage class, from music to massage. And and it was there that I had this epiphany about my first business and all of that. And we didn't have a lot of money because I had a wanted pregnancy, but not planned. And so we didn't have money in the bank, right? And I remember being up late one night and, TV was on, and I bought like $300, whole cassette thing. Well, I can tell you that my partner at the time was not excited about that purchase, but it was that purchase that I heard, and I listened to those tapes as well over and over and over again. I mean, I think there was like 35 of them, something ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
But I remember hearing in there about scalability, when I was in my 20s, and it was about building a business that could scale. And what that meant. And that was a really important thread. I created direct sales companies, and it was just a very important piece. And like you, it took me out of myself into a new version. And I think it was the first time I got introduced that if you want to go somewhere different than where you are, where you go, you go. Like where you go, you follow, right? And so it's not as easy necessarily to make those leaps financially or branch out without changing your thinking and your attracting and your energy and all the things, right? All the things. So that's awesome. Um, so you have this beautiful business now, and you continue to personally grow. What would you say to somebody that, I mean, no one really, I'm not saying no one knew about affiliate marketing, but it wasn't like you opened up a barbershop. So you had to, what I believe, do a little bit of pioneering. So, right, like introduce something new, introduce something new, introduce something new. I mean, certainly I would say my next book is hashtag God pick on somebody else, because I've pioneered enough, right? What would you say to someone that is embarking on something that they don't necessarily really know or isn't commonplace in business? Could you give some strategy or some advice around that?
Yeah, well, first strategy is you got to love it, right? Because if you don't love it, you're going to quit at the very first sign of trouble. And it's something that it just felt, remember I said at my job, I never really felt like I was in the right place. I
Hmm.
always felt like I was in the right place with affiliate marketing. I felt like something had found me, or I had found something that I could really get excited about. And I was not instantly good at it. And so that's the other thing, is that when you love it, and then you become who you need to be good at it, right?
Yeah.
And be kind to yourself. Goodness, I mean I tell this to my son always, you're not going to be instantly great at something, right?
Mhm.
You got to work at it. You got to work at it. You got to work at it. And it's really about creating mastery. But I always tell people all the time, the only way to fail is to quit. And at every obstacle that comes in your way, there's a solution. And I think, Deb, if there was one thing that kept me going, because there was some times where it was great and
Mhm.
other times where it was not great.
Mhm.
And it was really that attitude of there's all problems are solvable, and the only way to fail is to quit. And so if you I would learn what I needed to learn and do what I needed to do. And every challenge that I've overcome has made me that much wiser to avoid it in the future
Mhm.
and to guide others on how to avoid it on their journey as well. So I know that's not specifically affiliate marketing, but I mean, just really like mindset and approach to entrepreneurship, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be selling toasters, you could be writing books, you could be, coaching the next great CEOs of the future. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, love it and be great at it, and be willing to see yourself through the tough times, because that's the mastery. That's where you come out the other end with the wisdom that other people need from you, right?
Right on. Well, I feel more educated about affiliate marketing, and I know some, I know some
Mhm.
about that. We've had conversations as well. So thank you for broadening. I mean, I think that's definitely the era that we're in, is look at when we first started entrepreneuring, like the scope and scale of different things that people can do and make full-time good, I'm grateful for kind of income in these beautiful niches or these beautiful sectors where people niche. Is there anything else that you want to share about what you do, how you do it, before I ask you a completely cool question?
The only thing I'll say is that I wish I didn't wait so long to realize that there's no such thing as a solopreneur. There's no one who is truly self-made. That the way to grow quickly is to collaborate with others. There's lots of other people who already have your ideal client, your ideal customer in huge lists. And if you could tap into that, then as many clients as you want are there. And I wish I had realized it sooner. It took me a while to get through my, ego and all of those things to realize I need to let other people in and I need to be able to share, right? And so when we work together, now we can take a new idea and we can launch it in 30 days and see if it's profitable or not. I
Right,
don't have to spend 3 years trying to figure that out.
right.
And so I wish I could go back to my 25-year-old self and shake him by the shoulders and say, dude, you don't have to do this all by yourself. So that's really what I would say. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm sure that's landing for many people. And obviously, everyone who knows what comes to our show notes have all of your information in there. And I'm just going to kind of shift gears because we are in business, and there's things that motivate us, inspire us, and like it or not, I'm going to talk about music because music lights me up. I was just super excited because I'm going to go see Heart tomorrow. You're a Canadian boy, Heart is playing, and I'm super excited. And I mean, have they not done our country proud? Absolutely. But what music inspires you? It's that song that you've always gone back to. Because if I was to ask you, if you're on your way to a desert island and it's just you and you got this nice little suitcase and you can put one album in there and you're going for a while, what is that album that you would take that you could not imagine not listening to for the rest of your days?
Oh my gosh, there's so many good
I
ones.
know it's the hardest question on the show, but
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I'm having flashes of John Lennon and the Beatles and then my early love of Depeche Mode and like that kind of music. Like I was watching it on YouTube yesterday, but one
one
that real
album, yeah, you couldn't imagine not like you got.
yeah, it's gonna be Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell, to be honest.
Right on.
Yeah, just and I'll tell you why, because when I listen to it, I don't know why, I get emotional.
Mhm.
My energy goes from here to here. It's one that I could blast and sing at the top of my lungs. I can not saying I can sing like Meatloaf because that guy's amazing.
Right.
But I think it's for nothing else that it just makes me feel very energetic, very happy. I feel what he's saying, and I just come out the other end going, "Wow, what can I do? Let's go!" And so yeah, so that one there would have to be top of my list.
Right on. Right on. I'm actually going to pull that one up. I know how I think I know how you feel because you feel what you feel, but I was listening to a new song that came on because I was going for dinner. So for me, that's a walking distance. And I'm like, I can get two good songs in here. And there was a song that I heard yesterday. It's country based. And I was like, but it had this little bit of warrior energy. That's how I feel about, and I felt invincible. I was like, bring it on. And I was like, I forwarded it to myself because it was a new song, so I could listen to it again. And I listened to it 3 times walking home. But I think a good song really embodies you. So that sounds like what Meatloaf does. Thank you so much for being part of our show today. We so appreciate it. I'm going to talk to the audience for a few minutes while we hang out here. Look, you know what to do. If you want to be sitting where Chuck is, and we'd love to hear your story, your passion, what drives you, what risks that you've taken in your business or your adventures. It's very easy. It's debdrummond.com. It's my name. And when you go on there, you're going to find a plethora of things to do. If you like to speak, if you like to share, we have 3-part mini series. We've got stages that you can come on. We've got all times and places where you can play and have your voice heard and your passion kind of inspired and refueled. So if you want some attention around what you do, we're happy to support you with that. So you know where we are. It's easy. There's the name. It's mine. This is not difficult. So Chuck, thank you for being with us today. And I look forward to more conversations. We both live in the same town. So lucky me. It's always nice to, isn't it interesting when you're like, oh, you live in Vancouver? It's like you've had a glass of water or something, because our world is so international and we build so international. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here. This is a lot of fun.
Right on. Okay, so audience, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to tell you to be well and stay groovy, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.